Here's my review of Fallout Season 2, Episode 7 and 8, basically the finale. I'm a little late to this, like I have been these past couple, since the show has started. But I will say that I enjoyed these last two episodes, although I think that overall this season was just not as strong as Season 1. There's still a lot of good stuff in here. Like in Episode 7, I really like just the twisted, like, mentality that Hank has of him believing that mind control is good because, oh, you could just control people and make them happy. And it's just this sickening, it has just this sickening undertone that I thought was really compelling and very interesting. I really just enjoyed like the whole episode of just Lucy and Hank just interacting as they're so polar opposites. As Lucy is so, not completely, as Lucy is so hopelessly optimistic, but and Hank wants to share that naivete, but in reality he still is more realistic and in many ways pessimistic, but also he's evil, like he's not a good person. But it's just fascinating, just the dichotomy between the two. And as for like some of the subplots back at like the actual bunkers, like what's going on with Stephanie and her husband, I found that pretty compelling as well. As like where you basically find out of course we found out in the previous episode how Stephanie's really old. She was at and how we found out that Stephanie actually knew Cooper before the bombs even dropped. And that's really compelling. I thought that that was pretty interesting because you see her and like the beginning of episode was it of the beginning of the episode of 7 and during the war, and I just found that to be fascinating. Like it just adds like these has the makes these side characters just a little more compelling. The fact that she knew Cooper Howard, it makes you think like what else is she really hiding? And I liked seeing, I think that Thaddeus's character in these like past two episodes was pretty good as well. And he's just an overall interesting character, and I kind of wish I would just like to see more interactions between him and Maximus. Like we get that a little bit in this season, but not as much as I'd like. And there's some pretty gnarly stuff with him where he's like almost slowly like falling apart, like where his arm just falls off. It's pretty gnarly, but it's really fun. But I think what makes this episode as good as what makes it good is just the interactions between like like Lucy and her dad, because like and there's even really interesting like daughter like father daughter bonding moments with like him teaching her how to drive, and it just adds this weird relationship between them because you could tell it's like she wants to love her father still loves her, but she she is so blatantly she is such a good person and her father is not. It's just compelling, like it's just really fascinating. But I think that even though like Lucy wants to love her dad, because she's as good as she is, she still sees the evil and she's still against him. And she says like how mind control is wrong and stuff like that we already know. But and I think that's just makes Lucy such a great character is she's has this just great optimistic value to her that is just so old fashioned yet so great. And as we get into episode 4, though, I like how that's tested. Like, there's a scene where Lucy is confronted with this, like, head who is still alive and in pain, and and the head is asking her, please kill me, and she doesn't want to, but she just has to. And you can see how much it breaks her. And I think that that just shows, like, not only, like, what Lucy's really willing to do for the greater good, but just, and I just liked how far this season pushed her. And I will say I was kind of like I did kind of expect her to maybe not necessarily become bad, but maybe do something that is bad that maybe she's not trying to do, whether like kill someone else on accident. But and this is probably the closest they got, and it was kind of sad. And but I liked that they pushed her character that far. And also at the beginning of episode 8 of this finale, there's a really cool fight with Maximus and this like and a bunch of these like monsters. I forgot what they're called, but and we see how people are just betting. And I liked how a lot of people were betting against Maximus, and Thaddeus he's still bet for in Maximus's favor, just showing how what of a great friend he is. It was really great. And as for like the finale in general, I just want to get it. Like a lot of the best stuff happens towards the end. Like there's a scene where Hank is trying to implant Lucy with like the mind control device, and then the great character of the ghoul, he saves her. And that's what I just like about he's such a fascinating character because you could tell he is a good person deep down. But throughout the show, he does a lot of very bad and questionable things. And within the flashbacks, you see though how he is a good person. I just really liked that. And this actually had a pretty sad ending with Hank mind wiping himself basically for the greater good. It had a very emotional ending between Hank and Lucy, which I thought was really well done. And there's a lot of setup for season 3 with like Stephanie becoming a leader within the bunkers. And she's not a very liked leader. And there's a lot, and that's the thing where I think that there's a lot of really interesting setup for season 3 of, though I just didn't find this season was still good. Like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed like this show as a whole, or this season as a whole, but just compared to season 1, it just wasn't as good. And I think that the setup can be good. And I will say, like, the way, like I said, they're setting up Stephanie as a hated leader within the bunker, and I think that could be interesting. But the way how this season ends, it both frustrates me and gets me really excited because we find out that Cooper's family is still alive. But we don't see them. I was really, like, towards the end, I was really excited to see maybe, like, oh, what was, like, they were opening up the crates and, like, oh, what's going to be their reaction to seeing the ghoul, seeing, like, what is going to be Barbara's reaction to seeing her husband, and his reaction to seeing his wife and daughter. But we realize that they're not there, but they are alive and out there somewhere. I'm excited to see that in season 3, but I was just kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see that here. So overall, I think that this was a pretty good finale and a pretty good season overall. I think that it had, specifically this finale, it had a lot of great emotion, a lot of great character work, and still a very compelling plot. And I'm glad, and I was really liked how it ended. But I will say, I liked how it ended, and it frustrated me because there's a lot of stuff that I set up that I really just wanted to see that we didn't see. And I'm sure we're going to get that in season 3. And I'm going to be wrong, and I still had a lot of fun with the show overall. Like, I think that Maximus and Thaddeus's relationship grew a lot on me. But I hope that within season 3, like, we get to see more of season 1 where I liked, like, they're still teasing back on, at the end of this, we're going to see Maximus and Lucy team back up again. I'm excited to see that because that's what I really liked about season 1. And yeah, overall, I thought this was a pretty good finale. This was a good couple of episodes, but it just wasn't as strong as season 1. Still good.